Hello, my name is Bruce Mott, the lead pastor at First Church of the Resurrection located in Canton, Ohio. I'm here to share with you just for a few moments about being chosen by God. As a kid, I loved to play sports. I loved to gather a group of guys together. We would all run out onto the field and we would have to choose teams. And how we would choose teams was you would really find the best two players, and they would be captains, and they would start to choose their teams. Now, the first several players that were chosen were always the best, the most athletic, the most gifted, and they were always chosen. And then towards the end, there were a few players that were left, and they were the ones that weren't chosen. They were the ones that were taken. And there was always that sense of the chosen ones always were a lot of excitement because they were going to do great things, and they were great players. And the ones that were taken were those that really weren't very good and that the team actually got stuck with. And so I don't know where you are in that order. I don't know where you were as far as being chosen. Were you the one that was chosen? If you were, you know what it feels like to be wanted and accepted. If you, though, were one of the ones that were just taken, you know what it feels like, the agony of people not really wanting you, of really being stuck with you. All of us want to be chosen. Every one of us want to feel wanted. Whether you were one of those players that was chosen and you felt so good that people wanted you, or whether you were one of those players that were just taken and you knew that people really didn't want you on the team, I have good news for you today. God has chosen you. The most important person in the universe has chosen and called you by name. Listen to these words from Jesus, from John chapter 15, verse 16. You did not choose me. I chose you, and I have called you to bear fruit, much fruit, fruit that will last. You and I have been called by the Lord of the universe. We have been chosen to be on His team. We are not the last. We are not the least. We are not those that God doesn't want, that He's stuck with. God is not stuck with us at all. He has chosen us. This really came through to me in a story about a little boy that had been adopted. And his friends found out that he had been adopted, and they started to tease him, as kids sometimes do. And finally, after several days, he turned around to them and he said, "Look, my parents chose me. Your parents were stuck with you. God is not stuck with us. He has chosen." Do you doubt that God has chosen you? If you do, listen to these words from Romans 5:8. God has demonstrated His love for us in this, that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Do you hear that? That while we were far from Him, Christ willingly came and laid down His life for us. In John chapter 10, Jesus says, "No man takes my life from me, but I willingly lay it down to pick it up again." For many of us, we are looking at our lives thinking, how can God like us, much less love us? And could He really have chosen us, even me? Yes, that is what the Bible says. God has chosen you. Listen to His voice today. Hear what He would say to you. You are not a cosmic accident. You are a divinely created and chosen child of God. Or you can be if you don't know Him today. Listen to His voice. There was a little girl, and that she was from a very poor family, and she came to school often kind of dirty, unkept, and she was always the loner, the outsider in the class, and all the other kids, they just left her out and left her to be such a loner and by herself. Well, the teacher one day wanted to do a rudimentary hearing test, so she invited all the kids to go out into the hall, and then she went out and saw the order they were in. And of course, the little girl was in the very back of the line. No one wanted to let her in front of them. And so she would shut the door and she said, "I'm going to say something to you to hear how you hear, to see how you hear." And so the first little boy, Tommy, came up and she said, "Tommy, I love your blue shirt." And he came in and told her, "Janie, I love your curls." She came in and told her. She went one through another, until the very end, the little girl was there by the door. She pressed her ear to the door, and the teacher said these words, "I wish you were my little girl." That little girl heard for the first time, "I choose you, I want you." And I have a question for you today. Have you pressed your ear to the door of heaven and heard Jesus Christ say, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you"? Do that today.